Well, sorry folks about that. Okay, so let's just get right into it. So the big news today, Justin Trudeau, leader of the Liberal Party of Canada and Prime Minister of Canada, has decided to resign. It is not effective immediately. He is the interim leader and still Prime Minister until the Liberal Party nominates a new leader for the Liberal Party. What does this mean? It means that anywhere between, well, a couple of more things. He also prorogued Parliament. So, up until March 21st or 24th, not sure of the date here, there is nothing happening in the government. Parliament is not on break, but unless it's emergency official business, there's nothing being done at Parliament. And also, uh, yeah, what does this mean? What does this mean? It means that any time between now and March 21st, I'll say 21st, the Liberal Party can decide of its new leader. That new leader becomes de facto Prime Minister of Canada. Once the prorogation is completed, the leader of the Liberal Party can go and see the Governor General, dissolve Parliament altogether, and call an election. Or they can go to a throne speech asking the other parties in Parliament, because they are currently a minority government, they can go and have a throne speech and ask the other parties to have confidence in them. At which point, I think that we can all agree they do not have the trust, and Parliament would collapse in a vote of non-confidence. And that would be pretty much it, folks. That would be the end of that. We go to an election, which is, I think, anywhere between 40 and 50 days of campaigning and have an election. Now, Trudeau resigning, is it too little, too late? I mean, after St. Paul's defeat in the by-election, he should have stepped down. The Liberals should have put somebody else there. Then they lost two other by-elections. They should have done something at that moment. He should have resigned at that moment. 6 months ago, before calling the summer break, he should have gone into election. Did not want to do that. I guess from his perspective is that, oh, people's mind will change. They will love me again. Because he is a narcissistic person. That's my opinion. That's Dr. Peterson's opinion. That's a lot of people's opinion. And you can just see by his reaction today, and I'll play the video here. I've cut off the sound just in case, But he was asked what is his greatest achievement and his greatest regret. As his greatest achievements, he named everything. I mean, every single thing that the government's done. All into one. He's proud of man tampons in men's bathrooms, and the list goes on and on and on. What he regrets is that not being able to change the electoral laws that would keep him in power for another decade. Does that sound like a narcissist to you? It does to me. Wow. Okay. So he is finally flipping the pages, and his days are numbered. Theoretically, there could always be an emergency. The governor general could call him back, could call Parliament back, and could force a lot of things. Hopefully, we don't get to that. I don't know. I'm happy he's going. I'm happy he's going. What does this mean for the liberals? If I were them, if I were them, I know there's Chrystia Freeland that wants to be the leader of the party. Dominic LeBlanc is also, a very... He's a candidate for the position. A couple of others. Are they going to bring in Mark Carney? But honestly, if I were them, because currently there's a big problem with the liberals, is that there's no difference between them and the NDP, right? They are far left, and the liberals need to... I mean, if they put Chrystia Freeland or Dominic LeBlanc, all these guys have voted time and time again to support Justin Trudeau's policies. So even though Trudeau's gone, whoever they decide to put in is basically a clone. That's not a good thing. If I were them, I would put House Father, who's been advocating that the party comes back to the center for a very long time. I'm not saying he should be elected permanently as a leader, but he should have been the interim leader. Bring back the party to a center and try to realign how they move forward from there. Go to an election, get defeated, whatever may come towards them. It's hard to say. I mean, if I was Trudeau, I would have called an election. Why do Canadians have to suffer for another 3 months, 4 months, January, February, March, all of March, another 3 months, while we wait for the Liberals to get their act together? I mean, 2 weeks ago, Chrystia Freeland was deputy, so she should just be interim leader, call an election, and let's go for it. After they're defeated, then they can pick up the crumbs and realign the party and rebuild the party. They want to kind of rebuild the party before going to an election. Thing is that Canada is suffering, Canadians are suffering. I mean, when asked about his achievements, he's like, oh, we eliminated poverty. This guy is so disconnected. Eliminated poverty? Before him, there was no 10 cities. Now they are all over the place, and a new one pops up every single day. $61 billion of deficit? He's created more deficit than all the other prime ministers combined. Your great-great-great-grandchildren will still be paying for his man tampons in men's bathrooms. Imagine that. Imagine that. So, now, if I were them, I would go to an election. He should have called an election. Canadians, I mean, Trump is coming in, right? In 2 weeks' time, we're going to have 25% tariffs on all the imports, exports, and whatnot. Wow. So everything that comes in through the States goes up by 25%. Right around March 21st, a week later, April 1st, guess what? The GST quadrupling of the carbon tax kicks in. Wow, folks. So, yeah. Over the next 3 or 4 months, you'll see prices double everywhere. At the supermarket, at the gas pumps, everything's going to double. And we're still having to wait for an election. And we need to have the election. Then whoever wins the election, there's a transition between the current government and the incoming government. Could take a month, could take 2 months. And then the next government has to repeal and start undoing all the mess that Trudeau's been doing over the past 10, 12 years. Is that going to happen overnight? No, it's not. It took Trudeau 10 and 12 years to destroy Canada. Is it easier to destroy than to build? Let me ask you that question. Is it easier to destroy than it is to build? So, if it's easier to destroy and harder to build, then the 12 years, 10, 12 years that it took you to destroy something, it will take you longer because it's harder to rebuild. This is not going to be easy for Canadians, folks. Yes, today we get a glimpse of good news. The bad news is that we're going to go through an extreme sobering period. Pierre's not going to have an easy job. The Conservatives are not going to have an easy job. It will take a decade, if not more, to fix what Justin Trudeau has broken, what the Liberal Party has broken. Because he's not in all by himself. He has ministers. Everybody on the floor voted every time in favor of everything he was doing. It wasn't the Conservatives voting for him. It wasn't the Bloc. It was the NDP and it was the Liberals. So, personally, whoever they put there to replace him is not going to make a difference. Currently, the party has the far left agenda, and that's not going to change with a new leader. So basically, the party is going to elect us a new prime minister. We're not even going to know until the last moment who gets to be prime minister before we head into an election. I mean, that new prime minister might be prime minister for a day. Might be, I mean, if they decide on whoever it is tomorrow, but Parliament is still prorogued until March 21st, whoever's, the leader tomorrow gets to be the prime minister up until March 21st. So we have no idea what's going on. No idea how to deal with Trump. So basically, Trudeau today, by doing what he did, instead of calling an election, basically what he's telling Canadians, you don't want me no more, then F you. He dropped a big F you on Canada today, postponing an election, having us put through the internal fighting the Liberals are going to have, trying to put their pieces of puzzles back together, which I don't think they'll be able to do. That's why I say, put House Father in, realign the party, try to realign them to the center, have them, put out a hat, everybody puts their suggestions in the hat, have a look at it, come back, call an election. And during the election, try to build a program around the center, not the far left like they currently are. But they're not going to do that. They're going to put Freeland, they're going to put somebody else in power, Dominic LeBlanc, Melanie Jolie, whoever, Mark Carney, who's going to continue running the far left program. They're going to get defeated. So if they don't start rebuilding towards the center right now, we're just going to suffer. We're just going to suffer and suffer and suffer. They won't have anything to bring to the election. And Pierre's going to win. I do hope he wins. I'm not, I'm, I really hated Trudeau because when I was in high school and going into college, I had friends that went to the same school he did. It was like, do you know he sells dope? Selling marijuana back in the day. The cops knew, everybody knew, but there's a two-tier system, criminal system for the rich and a criminal system for the poor. So he's gotten away doing illegal stuff all of his life. And I did like Jean Chrétien, and I did like Paul Martin. I did like Brian Mulroney. We've had a couple. Harper, very good prime minister, but I had a hard time with him. I did not like the guy. Sometimes you have to vote for the party and not the person. I did not like him. He had this smirk to him that every time I would see it, it would just annoy me. Nothing personal. He's probably a great guy. I never met him. But something about Harper always rubbed me the wrong way. So we're heading in towards a very hard time. It's going to take a couple of months. We're looking at 6 months, 8 months before Pierre gets into office. Okay, he's going to sign a lot of stuff on the first day, second day, third day. But from signing it to it translating into real world stuff that's going to start benefiting us might take a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Wow, 5 years. Well, there's a problem. Because 4 years into it, we're going to have another election. Usually around 4 years, there's an election for a government, even if they are a supermajority. So, will he be able to finish what he starts by rebuilding? And are we, as a nation, people, going to have the patience to put up with it? At some point, are we going to, start blaming Pierre for what Justin did? We're going to have to face it that the times ahead are going to be hard. And, the thing is that they're getting harder day by day. Waiting another 6 to 8 months, the problems usually just snowball. And if it takes 10 years to undo what Trudeau has done in the past 10 years, it might take us 12, 15 years to correct the course. People want to get back to how things were before Justin Trudeau took office. Thing is you never can go back. But getting Canada to a good place is going to take years and years. I don't know if people will have the patience to wait another decade. People can't pay their bills now. Even if you stop immigration now, we still have a problem that we have too many people, not enough houses. Well, guess what? The houses are not going to be built in one day. So it'll still take us 4 years to catch up, to have enough houses for everyone that we have currently in the country. We are heading towards really, really hard times. I I have no sympathy for this guy on screen here. He put us in such a mess. And if he was really thinking about Canadians, he would have called an election. He would have done it 6 months ago. He should have done it 3 months ago. He should have done it 2 weeks ago. He should have done it today if he was thinking about Canadians. That's not what we're getting. We're getting to wait another 3 months for the Liberals to do what the Liberals have been doing for the past 10 years, and that just screw everything up. It's going to be a shite fest for the next 3 months. We have to put up with it before an election gets called. And it's still a month and 2 months before the election is over. And for Canadians, it's not going to be sunny ways. We are in doo-doo, and we're going to be in doo-doo for quite some time. A lot of people are optimistic that Pierre is going to fix everything. I'm not pessimistic. I'm just trying to be realistic that, no matter how good your intentions are, I mean, Pierre's at the top, and hopefully he leads by example and it dribbles down. But there's been so much corruption, so much crap going on, that it'll take time to filter down and to clean itself. It's not going to happen overnight. So that's why I don't know. It's like from the moment elections get called or are over and Pierre gets in, it's 4 years for his mandate, his first mandate. How much can he fix Canada within those 4 years? How much are we really willing to give him a chance while we are still suffering? Sometimes you light a fire and Trudeau runs away. And that fire burns the building down. It could take an hour, it could take 2 hours, it could take 10 hours. I mean, the fire department by the time they get there and they're trying to fight the fire, it's still burning, it's still going up. And, by the end of the day or the night, the building's, burnt to rubble. Trudeau's long gone. He set the match and he ran away right away. After he's gone, though, things are still burning down to the ground. And I have a feeling that the mess that he created is still going to be there. Vestiges of it is still going to be there 4 years from now. How much is Pierre going to be able to fix it, prevent it, stop it, combat it? We're still going to be heading down while Pierre is trying to fight upwards. And I know he's going to give it his all. But after the 4 years, where are we as Canadians going to be? Are we going to be like, oh man, I'm tired of suffering. I'm tired of all this, being in this misery, not being able to pay the bills. Okay, it took maybe a year or two to get the tariffs with the US back to, a stable state where everybody's comfortable, because the tariffs are coming in. I don't know when we'll be able to deal with it. I don't know when we'll be able to negotiate. When will Pierre get an opportunity to talk with Trump and get things back on the right track? Our borders are still not safe. When are they going to be safe, Not until Pierre comes in, finds somehow some money to put into it. Our military, I mean, it's crazy. Our soldiers are having to pay for their own helmets and etc., etc. When are we going to be able to be proud of our military once again? When are we going to be able to recruit doctors who wants to work in our, you know, when? It's not going to be overnight that the doctors are going to come flying. It's not overnight that immigration is going to come under control. It's not overnight that everybody will have a house. So there'll be 10 cities for the next 4 years. How many? Hopefully it starts going down drastically. So we need to give Pierre a chance. That's why we need an election as soon as possible to start fixing this as soon as possible. The more we wait, we let Justin run away after he set the building on fire, and we have to wait. We have to look at the fire burning for another 3 months before we can call the fire department. It's ridiculous. And I made predictions this morning, that what was going to happen happened before it happened. I'm also making the prediction that Trudeau's not going to stick around Canada. I think he's going to go somewhere where there's no extradition treaty with Canada. So if he loves Canada so much, as soon as he's not the leader anymore, keep an eye on where he's going. He ain't staying in Canada, I can tell you that. It would be funny if he ended up in China. I don't think he's going to India, that's for sure. But maybe an island somewhere in the south. I wouldn't be surprised. So yeah, Canadians, I wish you all the best. I'm Canadian, that's why I'm talking about this. That's why I'm so mad. I started getting mad. I wasn't paying attention to politics. I was one of those that was so fed up. I'm not young. Year after year, over decades, politicians come and go. They always say one thing, and the country always seems to be heading another way. I do see now, I'm getting older, after 10 years of Trudeau, I've seen how some governments balanced the books and some disregarded the books completely. And I'm seeing how this is playing out. And I was one of those that I just didn't care about politics anymore. Up until I heard that Trudeau was spending $11 million building a barn, which basically is a garage for 3 cars. $11 million for a garage for 3 cars. Come on, folks. Come on. That's when I started paying attention to the Toronto Sun and discovered this other channel called Northern Perspective. True North, this guy's garage, and I go on and I started, never mind the CBC, never mind Global, never mind CTV, that we're always praising everything the government was doing, never talking about the bad stuff. Then over YouTube, you started seeing all these bad things, and then you discovered that Trudeau was doing everything, putting law after law after law to censor YouTube, to censor, third-party news. He was trying to, enforce his message through the media. And that kind of really peeved me off, seeing the committees one after the other. I was watching it on this guy's garage, who always takes good clips here and there, and then listening to Northern Perspective, that they like explaining things, and they like to highlight the things that the main media are not talking about. And I discovered that, man, oh man, has shenanigans been going on in this government for so long. I mean, the liberals don't only have a problem of coming back to the center, they need to clean up their act. They've, I mean, this Randy dude, that's the other Randy that has tied to Dominican cocaine drug busts and claim is indigenous, and their own companies, even our environment minister is getting money from the government in his own companies. Hey, kitty cat. So, not an easy. I mean, they're so corrupt, they don't see it. It's not just the appearance of a conflict of interest, there is literal conflict of interest, and they don't give a hoot. So, I mean, it's a good thing that a lot of these folks will be voted out. They do need to get honest people back into politics, back into running, back to working for the people. I mean, I don't know. Pierre like cut everybody's pension by half because the government just doesn't have any more money after Trudeau? That would be so funny. I'd also like to see an emergency act evoked to freeze Trudeau's bank accounts. Hey, that's an idea. Although his bank accounts are not in Canada, and he's not going to be in Canada, so there's nothing we can do about him. This guy's been untouchable all of his life, and we won't be able to touch him, unfortunately. I mean, it's one thing to go after the criminals. You know, I don't agree with everything Pierre does, and I'll be here to criticize stuff. I did it in my earlier post today. There are certain things that he talked about, certain directions he wanted to go in that I don't agree for. Like, okay, let's stop this bail and this things about the criminals and all that. But there's also one thing that people need to know. Poverty creates more crime. So, should you also go after the people that created the poverty? Because indirectly they are creating more crime. So it's one thing. I mean, you can't feed your kids, so you go to a supermarket and you steal food. Okay, this is a crazy thing. I'm not saying you should do that. But you see where, this guy was not a criminal, but he wants to put food on the table for his kids. Gets arrested, goes to jail. Or is it because, the government, closed the pipelines, closed the businesses, closed the fuel, closed the automobile sector, the aircraft sector, trying to go green for everything. Is this where we want to, it's one thing to be tough on crime, but you have to go after the kingpins. Yes, if you commit a crime with a gun, okay, lock you up in jail forever. You should not have done that. There's a difference between that and what I was talking about 2 minutes ago. But there's also the guy, that sets the guy out with the gun on the street to do something. Are we going to go after the kingpins? We don't have the resources. The cops don't have the resources. Listen, I was attacked, I was put into a coma. I worked as a janitor. I was attacked by an ex-tenant that got kicked out for threatening other tenants with a knife. So he was put out on bail on good behavior. Came back a year later while I was doing snow removal, got me from behind, and put me into a coma. Our local police officers did not have enough units on the ground, so it was a unit called in from the next city that came in. Basically, They didn't even do a report. They just, hang around while the ambulance carried me to the hospital. The cops didn't even come to the hospital to get a report. There was no report about the incident. There were witnesses, there were all kinds of things, but that guy never got arrested for what he did because the cops didn't even fill out a report of an incident. Other than we received a call, we got there, such and such a person, left on an ambulance, That was it. Who attacked me, why he attacked me, all of this. None of this happened. No report filled out, no arrest laid, no charges done. And the guy didn't stop there. He swore to his mother that he was going to finish the job. The mother was worried, called the cops. The cops arrested him for that because his mother called. But that's not the same thing as putting me in a coma, right? Just because, he said to his mother, he's going to kill somebody, is not the same severity as putting me in a coma. So, we need to be hard on crime. We need to stop this crap going on. But we also need to go after the kingpins, but the cops don't have enough law enforcement around them. We don't have enough police officers. We don't have enough budgets for them. It's not federal. It's municipal. It's provincial. Everybody has a part. It's not just one government here. There's 3 governments, so everybody needs to pull in together. Pierre can't fix everything. Even though if once we arrest them, they keep them in jail, we still need to have the law enforcement, the police officers to put these bad guys in jail. That's why I'm saying we are facing an uphill battle. Even if we put them in jail, there's, the prisons are already overbooked, overpopulated. We need more jails. There's a reason why Trudeau decided to do this catch and release is because we don't have enough jails for everybody. And then you need guards to have, to keep. So we need money to build jails and we need money to pay for the guards to keep them in jail. And Trudeau did not want to spend his budget on that. Instead, he wanted to put man tampons in men's bathrooms. He wanted to put money into gender identity in Africa somewhere, studies in Africa and all this crap. So a lot of waste of money there instead of what needed to be done here. So Pierre is going to come in having to cut everything, not everything and everything, The liberals will say that he's going to cut everything. He's not going to cut everything. I don't think he's going to touch pensions. Pensions actually need to go up. But Pierre needs to find money somewhere to bring it up. Pierre needs to find money somewhere to build prisons. He needs money to give to doctors. He needs to find money to get things on the right track. And we're going to have to wait 4 years, 10 years. In 10 years' time, I think, if we don't screw up in 4 years, in 4 years from now, if we've had it with Pierre and all the cuts and, tightening up the belt and, doing the sacrifices that us as an individuals, as a country need to do to get back onto the right track, if we're all fed up of that, if poverty goes, we are currently at 25% poverty. If that number hits 33, and I would not be surprised that in 6 or 8 months from now, it hits near 33. What happens then when society revolts? Trudeau's not going to be there. We can't go after him. We're going to go after Pierre. We're going to start blaming Pierre for the situation that Justin created and that Pierre's trying to fix. And then we are going to have to force ourselves to go back into an election in 4 years and vote for Pierre to finish what he started. And then things will gradually start getting better day by day. But I think the first 4 years, we are going to be in a building that's burning down to the ground, yelling out through the windows, "Hey, Pierre, come and save me." But the building is still burning. Pierre's on his way. He's got his team of fire, very good firemen with him, but they still need to get to the fire. They still need to plug the hose up and try to, start from the bottom, putting the flames down on the bottom and then working its way up. So I don't think Pierre's going to have an easy time. I really think that, I think that people will get, like, he's enjoying a super majority now. And I'm afraid that in 4 years, we're going to be like, he might become a minority government, in which case he would not be able to finish what he started. Like if the NDP and the Liberals are like, oh, we need more money and man tampons, and to get Pierre's bill out, he has to put man tampons back into bathrooms. I mean, we're going to start losing the focus. So he needs like a super majority now and in 4 years to fix the country. And until then, we're going to suffer quite a bit. So, is there even going to be a world in 10 years from now? I mean, look at everything that's happening everywhere. This seems to be a very big trend. So, hopefully, between Trump and Pierre, things get realigned quickly, even if they take time to work its way down to the little people, us little people. But the faster they get realigned, the faster, things can start moving again. Which Trudeau doesn't care about the country. Oh, I'm doing what's in Canada's interest. By having you put up with the internal bickering of the Liberals for another 3 months. If I was the Liberals, I would say put Housefather in. Let's put a hat, suggestion hat, and everybody puts their suggestions in to realign the program towards the center. Then call an election. They don't have a platform, a centered platform, but they'll throw out ideas. Let's face it, they're thinking that they can win. If they come to the reality, if they realize where they are, they might not even have a party status. If they go down to 11 nominated members, they lose their party status. So if they come to the table, sit down, sober up, say, okay, we have to rebuild. So let's go to an election, talk to people on the ground with the ideas that we have put in our hat, and see people's reactions. And over the course of the next 4 years, make sure that Pierre sticks, keep tabs on what Pierre's doing. Make sure that what he says he's going to do, he's doing it. But incorporate your center ideas. If I was a Liberal, that's where I would go. I don't necessarily like Housefather. I just think that currently he seems the only one is even mentioning that the party needs to come back to the center. They are not the NDP, but they've been acting like the NDP for the past 10 years. And I'm not even going to talk about the leader of the NDP because he's just in it for his pension. We all knew it. That's why we've been suffering so long, because of this imbecile that's been lying through his teeth. Why do I say he's lying through his teeth? Because he tore up the agreement. Like 6 months ago, he said it 50 times in one day. Then the next day, he votes for Trudeau again. Come on. And he goes out and says, oh, if he puts, legislative things to force people back to work. Unfortunately, the trains, the ports, and the post office. I mean, there's so little Canadian businesses trying to survive after what happened with the pandemic and the lockdowns and all the crap that Justin put in. I mean, cut them a break. We need to ship products and services and stuff. I mean, I feel for the port workers. I feel for the train workers. I feel for the post office people, the mailman. I sympathize with them, but look, Justin is putting so many people into doo-doo. A quarter of the population of Canada is going to food banks, folks. So, yeah. Don't blame me for wanting you to go back to work. You know, you need to blame this guy for creating the problem. Stop voting Liberal. Vote for Polyev. Vote for whoever is going to balance the books. First and foremost, and then let's go in with ideology, provided that it can balance itself out. You know? I mean, a good idea for the Liberals would be to, start talking about legalizing prostitution. You know? More taxes from revenue, more safety for the people working in the industry. Hey, that might be an idea. I mean, it sounds really crazy now, but given the fact that Canadians decided to elect a dope dealer as their prime minister, I don't think that it's far-fetched to think about other platforms. I don't think Pierre's too conservative. I don't think he'll even want to approach the subject of legalizing prostitution. But it's something that the Liberals, be a center party, but be liberal. You know what I mean? Hey, Cat, move out. Move out. So, I don't know. I think that's where the Liberals need to go. Find new ideas at the center that can be different from what a conservative party is going for. But every government from now until the end of time needs to balance the books. As much as everybody hates math in school, we need to hire accountants to run this country in one way or another. And by that, I don't mean that. I don't know if you guys know this, but there are more tax collectors working for the government than we have men and women in the armed forces. Like, it's almost a 10-to-1 ratio, or 3-to-1, or whatever it is. I think we have like 50,000 soldiers and 600,000, tax collectors. There's a world of difference. There's something not right there. We wonder why Trump is complaining about not security at the borders. We don't have nothing. We have like 3 days worth of bullets if a war gets declared. 3 days worth of bullets. We need to be a force for peace in the world by talking our problems, our issues. We need to, yes, support Ukraine, but also support Russia in a way that we need to come back to the table. Nobody's going to be happy, but we have to negotiate peace. That used to be Canada's role. Peacekeeping, peacekeepers, talk about peace and how we can achieve it. Nobody is happy with the outcome. But is it workable? I think it is. Before the war, Russia was in a good place. Ukraine was in a good place. I don't think neither of these countries are in a good place today. No matter how much they try to promote it in media, I think if both of these countries could rewind and go back to a year before, shite hit the fan, I think both countries would like to do that. But there's going to have to be concessions. I think this is Canada's role on the center stage. Not talking about gender identity and all of this stuff. Stop promoting it abroad and just concentrate on your own place, your own family, your own house. Get your house in order. We legalized, same sex marriage before pretty much any other country out there. We need to lead again by example, not forcing our ideas on others will come here and bring back that to where they're going back to. That's what I said earlier today. Gorbachev used to be, before being, the president of the USSR, used to be an agriculture minister. Came to Canada to see how we were doing the agriculture here and was like, this is how Canada works. This is how democracy works here. And that little idea, that little seed germinated over the years and the years and opened up his mind to other ways of doing things. I mean, things obviously did not work out as intended, as he had envisioned back in the day. Just like I think, Trudeau's going to have to, well, I don't think he'll ever realize, but I think that people that were close to him listening to his preaching will realize that, okay, maybe we had some good ideas here and there, but man, this was completely wacko. Wacko economics, wacko thinking, wacko everything. So, okay, well, I lost a couple of viewers with a couple of my ideas there, so I'm going to stop talking about it. So, Canada in for a really rough time ahead. Fingers crossed that a lot of stuff gets through that we can pull together as Canadians, get our act together, not try to overcompensate. Let Pierre do the overcompensating at first, and then let's readjust as we need to. Trudeau, a big FU, never cared, never will. You belong behind bars, but I know you're going to leave the country soon. And Liberals, basically you guys need to control, alternate, delete everybody who supported Trudeau and find some honest people willing to take a pay cut, put in the work, because let's face it, none of them have been working ever since they got elected. They let everybody else do whatever, and they keep doing whatever. So everybody does whatever, filling their pockets full of money. So no. You need to get some more conservatives into some honest, conservative people into the Liberal Party. Bring it back to the center. Bring workable ideas that would work. I know that's worked twice. Workable ideas. Like you can still have your liberal way of thinking, but hire an accountant and see if it's workable, if it's doable. Stop all these committees and studies across the world about gender ideologies, religion ideologies, and, you know, try to make things safer here. So, folks, I'm pretty much. That's pretty much my rant for today. Our prime minister is stepping down. He's still prime minister. It's like Joe Biden. There hasn't been an election yet. He decides to step down to let Kamala, take the reins, go into an election, win or lose. But Joe Biden, even though people know that he's not running the country. So if I was in the States, over the past 2 years, I would have been really scared to know who's actually running the country. So Canada is pretty much in the same situation. Nothing is happening in Parliament. We have a prime minister that's resigning, but still prime minister until another one's selected, until another leader of the Liberal Party gets nominated. Then for a day or two or a week or two, he gets to be prime minister until the end of the elections. Whatever. And unfortunately, our Governor General has no character, no brass balls to speak of. So she's just going to follow and party on with her budgets and stuff, unfortunately. Man, so I wish Pierre and the Conservative Party the best. I'll keep an eye on you guys because I don't always agree with everything you say. Your ideas about Simmons was completely out of touch. And every time you guys decide to go there, I'll voice my opinion. I'll try to voice my opinion more often. But good luck to the Conservatives. I'm in Quebec. So everybody here is like block and will be blocked probably until, I don't know. I was trying to convert some block voters to the Conservatives just by looking at the logic of things. Like, do you want to vote for somebody that actually is in the government and can actually change things for you? Or do you always want to vote for somebody that complains against the government that can never do anything for you, Thank you, Print Report. Stop by anytime. I've been reading. I'm just some days I do streams to interact with people. Today is more of a rant and me trying to get a lot off of my chest. I mean, I had so much anger bottled in ever since Trudeau got elected, so I can finally just let it out. But like Canadians are super happy he's leaving, but reality is going to kick in over the next couple of years. It's going to still take a couple of years for Canadians to realize the damage that this guy has done. And unfortunately, a lot of Canadians will start blaming Pierre for the crap that this guy has done. Because if they're not feeling it today and they start feeling it tomorrow, well, tomorrow they'll start blaming the leader that's going to be in power tomorrow. So that's why I say good luck to Pierre and the Conservatives. I've been following a lot of them over the past committees, over the past year. I really love a lot of them. I really like a lot of them. And unfortunately, the Liberals, they have people that I love to hate. You know, Inkra Khalid. I mean, I love this person, but I love hating this person. But guess what? She's not going to be winning her re-election. She's like at 2%, I think, of being able to win her riding. So, no more, no more, no more. Finally, you know, we can start turning pages, but the story's not going to get better overnight. So let's give Pierre a chance. Let's keep our eyes on Pierre for the next 4 years. So sending Pierre positivity. But, I mean, Canadians need a break and they need a break now. And Liberals need to start from scratch. And Canadians, we need to stick together, folks. So, please leave a comment if you want more of this commentary. If you agree or disagree with anything that I've said, please let me know. You know, if certain things I say I'm wacko, well, mention it. We can talk about it. You know, I don't hate you because you're voting NDP. I don't hate you because you're voting Liberal. I don't hate you because you're voting Conservative. I don't hate you, but let's talk about it and hopefully have a constructive discussions that brings the country to what we know it can be. Fingers crossed. Good luck, everybody. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I see you all in the next stream. Your cat daddy. I'm putting out some more cat videos because people love my cats. I love my cats. And I love sharing that I love my cats. So expect more cat videos. Check those out. I love them. Everything I do for them. You can hear him all throughout the stream here. He wants his attention. And I'll do a little bit of gaming whenever I have some free time. And I'll talk about other things other than politics. But yeah. Again, thank you, everybody. It's thanks to viewers like you that I'm here. See you in the next one.